Hello there everyone, uxwbill here, and today we are at the Keykeeper's house to change a light bulb. And what a fun one it's definitely going to be. So stay tuned for some hilarious adventures as we try to set up a ladder here. Who in the world puts a light in that sort of an inconvenient position? I really do not profess to know. We're going to use an LED bulb as the replacement. Although this bulb that's in there now has lasted a very long time. No one has ever changed it in all the years I can remember. And this is the house that I grew up in. Well, for some of my years before we moved to the house where I live now. And then this was my late grandfather's house. But contrary to a lot of people's belief, this is not the Roach Palace, and no, we did not fix the Roach Palace up. The Roach Palace is a little too far gone for that. So we'll get this ladder set up, and we'll be back thanks to the magic of video editing in absolutely no time at all, and hopefully we'll be able to shed some light on the situation. Because if there's one thing that the Canon FS200 doesn't like, it's low light. It makes trails on the image sensor. I have no idea why. Definitely an interesting form of behavior. That actually coming loose? I hate these things. That's your word for the day, fair rule. The fair rule is being a pain. Alright, want to give that to me?
I got it. If your hand wasn't full, I would have given it to you.
You got scissors or something so I can open this?
Yeah. I'll hook you up here in a minute.
I'm really curious if that was a 130 volt bulb for as long as it's lasted.
130 volt bulb?
Yeah, the idea is that since the voltage is a little bit higher than line voltage is, that they'll actually last longer because the filament runs cooler. We usually put them in less accessible locations.
Scissors.
But it doesn't say anything about being 130 volt bulb, just says it's a General Electric 75 watt bulb. Couldn't even begin to tell you how old it probably is. Nope, just 120 volts. Camera can read it better than I can. Alright, we'll put this down. And now it's time to open up the new bulb.
Well, I do.
Alright, the Keykeeper and I were just discussing an idea for a potential video. I guess the light switch was on.
Imagine that.
And the Keykeeper said, what did the Keykeeper say? It's biblical. You should be good at this. Let there be light.
Let there be light!
And there was light. And it was good. And moments later, he did a header downstairs.
Damn it! I missed again! Inside joke.
Yeah, it's a bit of an inside joke. Alright, so now we got to put this stupid diffuser on there. You're not going anywhere. At least I hope not, because you're going to land on me if you do. That'd be a bad deal. To get flattened by a Keykeeper and then go through the stairs and end up in the secret storage compartment in the basement. That'd be a bad deal.
Finish just kicked on.
Yeah, for a moment I thought maybe that was the wind outside making something rattle. But that was the furnace. Huh. All things.
This is so stupid. Well, I noticed because it dimmed the light for a minute.
So I was looking through the camera screen and I didn't even see that. I don't think the camera's shutter speed is fast enough to catch stuff like that.
It's only been 6 months.
Well, you can hardly blame us. This is not the kind of thing you want to do every day. And just as a warning, especially not by yourself, you got to have somebody help you do this. Because staircases, just as a warning to all of our viewers, though I'm sure all of you know this, staircases are not something to be played around with, especially when there's a big old concrete floor and a freezer at the bottom of them.
That's not a goalie box down there. Don't get points for crashing into it.
No, I don't imagine that you do. And those speaker stands, somebody could lose an eye on them. But this is our wonderful ladder that lets you make it all kinds of different lengths. Great for setting it up on a staircase or a similar surface that isn't level. Probably worth its weight in gold, though it's only made of aluminum.
It's great for crossing electrified fence rows too.
With an aluminum ladder, you're a brave soul.
They tell you that's one of the uses for this thing.
I would think you would want a fiberglass ladder for that.
Maybe not necessarily electrified fence rows, but fences in general.
A barbed wire fence, perhaps?
Yeah, a barbed wire
Cyclone wire fence?
Concertina wire fence?
Oh, concertino! Now you're just getting fancy.
I like that word. Concertina. It sounds so pleasant until you actually look at what it is.
Well, it does have a more pleasant meaning because the thing that unfolds in an accordion can also be referred to as a concertina or a bellows.
I would call it a bellows. Alright. We're gonna move on to project 2.
All right, project number 2. What is this thing? This is an intelligent alarm. It says voice alarm on it. It tells you, you are screwed.
Yeah, that'd be funny to hack
You
it.
are going to die.
That'd be funny to hack it and make it say things.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of a voice storage chip it uses if it doesn't synthesize its voice. Because some of those chips can be reprogrammed if you get the right gear.
Yeah, I want to say that I remember there was one of these where I bought this that had a Bluetooth feature.
A Bluetooth feature.
Download into your phone.
So what are we doing over here on the stove? This looks exceptionally interesting. Is this what's for dinner tonight? Or is this some sort of a retrofit?
It's a retrofit, you know. I'm all about energy efficiency, so this is going to go like...
I think you want infrared LEDs to cook on, actually.
To replace the fluorescent tube that's in the stovetop.
I think you want infrared LEDs. You know, some people have those kind of cooktops, induction cooktops, and then there's IR ones, and then there's gas ones. Gee, I remember, I'm a less sophisticated person. Stuff like that just frightens me. I'm happy with a good old burner coil. I gotta admit though, I cooked on this stove last night, and this is actually the stove that was in our house previously. We moved it over here and took the hot point with us. This is a nice stove and all. It was nearly brand new when we moved into that house in 1990 or thereabouts.
I think I'd rather have the hot.
But you know what? It just doesn't have the horsepower that the hot point does. And I've noticed that the newer burners on the hot point don't have the same cooking power as the old ones do. Well, I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy, but it's certainly interesting. And of course, on a stove like this, that's the oven light. On a stove like this, the pots that you can put on the back burner are greatly limited in their height. And this oven is really more of a joke than anything else. Not only has this glass shattered at least once in this thing's lifetime, which is apparently a known flaw, but also this thing is so small that it doesn't really have any meaningful temperature control. But you didn't come here to hear us talk about all that. Let's see what the Keykeeper is doing with his new talking alarm. Did you read the instructions?
Not yet.
Alright, well it turns out that even though the Canon FS200 camcorder rather understates its actual battery capacity, there is a limit that comes along sooner or later. The Keykeeper stuck some batteries in this thing. Now he's pretending to read the directions. And we were talking about it while I was going out and getting the camcorder's power supply and plugging it in. He posed the question, does the voice on the alarm get more frantic if you ignore it? And when he put the batteries in, and it did speak to him, it really wasn't very loud. Well, that's loud enough.
Fire. Warning, carbon monoxide.
Apparently it's a girl. We're also wondering if maybe some of them are boys and some of them are girls. It just matters which one you bring home. Oh, the stupid things we get to thinking about.
I know what we'll do. We'll just put this battery in it. It'll last a long time.
That ought to keep it going for a while, I would think. Alright, here we go. Here's what it does when you put the batteries in it for the first time.
Push test button.
Headphone users, I'm only going to give you one warning.
Fire. Warning, carbon monoxide.
Very interesting. Be still. Don't you sass me. You'll notice that this has privately labeled batteries in it. The company refers to their name as being pronounced Kidda, but I think that sounds stupid. I prefer to say it Kid. Nevertheless, it's got house-branded batteries in it, and unlike most privately labeled or house-branded batteries, you can actually buy these at places like Menards. I've seen them for sale. Must be a nice little profit turner for these people. They're actually Gold Peak batteries, although I think the 9 volts are actually relabeled Duracells in some cases. Very interesting, though, that you can actually buy Kid or Kidda, if you insist, branded batteries for your smoke and carbon monoxide alarm. I really don't imagine they're any better than anybody else's batteries that you could buy, but I could be mistaken about that. I do believe they are alkalines, not 100% certain of that. They could be carbon zinc heavy duty types. Here on the back, if you'll pause the video and want to read this, you'll notice that it doesn't actually recommend the private labeled batteries, at least not by the name that has been printed on them. The model number might match, I don't know, I'm too lazy to look. The Keykeeper is making preparations to install his new dinner bell.
Yeah.
Now, if you had a gas stove, it probably wouldn't be a very good idea, because they are a form of unvented furnace, of course. It probably wouldn't be a very good idea to put the carbon monoxide alarm in your kitchen. And it's questionable whether or not you should put a smoke alarm in there if you're like us and you use that as a gauge when dinner is done. But more often than not, the Keykeeper comes over and joins all the rest of us for dinner, so the stove over here is actually pretty lonely most of the time.
Most cooking I do, I use a microwave.
I wonder if I remember to turn the image stabilizer on this thing. I don't think it'll let me do that while I'm recording. Boy, it has a hard time auto-focusing on those little dots in the ceiling. I wonder if the image stabilizer is on. I better check that. Yes, the image stabilizer is definitely turned on, and it was previously.
I'm so lazy. Smoke detector, please.
All right. I'm tethered, help, help, I'm tethered, help. Help, help, help. Helpity, help, help. This must be the Bluetooth integration that the Keykeeper was talking about.
No. Just annoying people. I shouldn't be so critical, though.
He's had kind of an off year, but if he sinks this putt, I don't have a good golf announcer voice.
Okay. I think that's it.
Alrighty, what else have we got to do?
Go out to the garage and see how we want to place those lights and maybe even hang them and get them plugged in.
Alrighty.
First, I was thinking,
Out here we have two Mercuries, my late grandfather's and the Keykeepers, both of them Grand Marquis Ultimate Editions, instead of the Desat Edition. And here in the garage we have the Keykeeper getting ready to test fit one of his LED lights. As you can see, this garage does not exactly benefit from having a surplus of light. I like the way he's setting that on the torsion springs for the garage doors, because that's about all they're good for. Those two garage doors back there are marginally better. And there's the poor forgotten Pontiac.
it's not forgotten. It's just in a retirement community right now. There's
Waiting
no
for its
insurance
turn.
on this vehicle. Pontiac, do not drive off property. We're smart.
Unfortunately, there is a story behind that. This is... shocked that the batteries in that are still good.
I have a very important job to do.
Yeah, we do. We're not doing it.
I'm Thomas. Cinders and ashes. It's dark in here.
Is that one of the things you got out of cars at the dealership?
Yes.
Boy, that and the bunny mask. That is just... You're onto a winning combination there. We probably should have waited until it was nighttime outside to get a better look at how effective these lights were. But it definitely does cast a little bit better light on the situation. There's a little Wisconsin air-cooled engine sitting down there.
I wonder.
What are you going to do?
I think what I'll do.
You'll have to remember, you can't put it... You'll have to be careful putting it near the garage door opener, because I'll bet the ceiling's low enough that the garage door will clip it.
I think what I'll do is I'll put it right here. In this joist right here.
Okay, I think that'd be pretty feasible.
Put one here. For now. Because that keeps them out of the way of the garage doors. My original plan was to put them on the sides, but I can't do that when the doors are up because it won't do any good. But it's only a momentary thing, because then the doors would go right back down. And I would probably have to... You know, I don't know. Looking at it from this angle, it looks like it'd be okay to do that. I'm going to put the door up and see what my clearances are.
Well, don't forget to take your lamp down first. See if this actually works. These two are a little more serviceable than the other two. And yes, this is a drive-through garage, in case you're wondering.
Which has been really convenient.
It certainly does have its uses.
Okay.
But none of these garage doors are in very good shape anymore. You can see that one isn't exactly true in its frame any longer.
I need to tape.
Well, the Keykeeper and I spent quite a bit of time ruminating, that's your word for the day, on where to actually put these lamps. Unfortunately,
Four stomachs.
yes. Unfortunately, along the way, we managed to lose an S-hook in the crack. Just remember, folks, crack kills. So we've got it kind of done up in a very redneck fashion over here. But there we go. I think that sheds a decent amount of light on the situation.
The old dinosaur light bulb.
The dinosaur light bulb.
That'll be a lot better.
Does it have like fossils inside it or something?
Yeah, phosphorus inside it. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then I have to make something out of a coat hanger, which won't be hard.
Just to replace our fallen S-hook, but
Yeah, that'll probably be in shut. So
that can be done. Yeah, there's not a lot of room to move around in this garage. It's probably the smallest garage in the world that actually has 4 garage doors.
Well,
And-
when you want to walk through the garage, it's uber convenient.
And we'll have to install some more outlets, but I think we can do that. However, what are you doing with that zip tie?
I'm going to save it for the car. And I was going to zip tie the chain hanger to the lamp, but I'm going to go inside and do it right. So I'll be right back.
All right.
I need a coat hanger.
Well, it's looking quite good. Certainly a million times better than what we had. Doesn't seem to fan out a whole lot, as you'd expect of LED light. Seems they're pretty well filtered. I don't notice a lot of flicker, either in real life or on the camera. Don't notice any beating against the camera's shutter speed or anything. But there is a capacitor in these things that's smoothing them out. Because if you turn it off, and if the camera hasn't got its exposure set such that it won't be completely blind when the LEDs go out, and it wasn't, you can see that they gradually fade away. I don't imagine the control circuits are any more sophisticated than rectification and a filtering capacitor. It's kind of an interesting jail bar effect in the picture, though. Remember, kids, if ever you're faced with a ladder that isn't tall enough, you have plenty of options. Encyclopedias, end tables, bookshelves, office chairs with wheels on them, if you like to be on a first-name basis with the emergency room staff, or a convenient automobile. And if you're heavy enough and the car's rusty enough, maybe you'll even install a sunroof. Talk about multitasking. Kill two birds with one stone.
God, he has a sunroof on it.
Well, it might get two of them if it was rusty up there. Then you could have a sunroof and a moonroof.
Okay, so that's one.
Alright, so we made a replacement S-hook out of some coat hanger material. And believe me, the Keykeeper has no shortage of these. I guess they came from his former place of work. And he has enough of these things to roof a house with, quite possibly. Just absolutely amazing. So now it's time for round number 2. And we'll be back in a moment thanks to the magic of video editing. I know, this is terribly exciting stuff. Probably an incredibly pointless video, but have camera, will travel. I think it's about time, as any good brother would, to consider operating the garage door. Well, hello there everyone. uxwbill and the Keykeeper have returned to check out the effectiveness of the newly installed work lights that we put up earlier today. It is certifiably dark out here now, and the only source of light we have in the garage at the moment is the dinosaur bulb. So we'll go ahead and send the Keykeeper in to do the honors here. Now we're a little bit starved for electricity here in the garage. Oh yeah, that really lights things up. Wow. It doesn't spread out as far as I thought it might, but it certainly sheds a great deal more light on the situation. Unfortunately, we are a little bit hamstrung for electricity in here in the garage, and I know that I'm probably setting myself up for commentary from the peanut gallery, the do-nothings and the do-goodies, and the people who talk a big game here on YouTube, but we only have a single pole's worth of electricity available here in the garage, and I believe it's actually being shared with the power that goes to the air conditioning condensing unit. I remember that as a child, and unfortunately the video light doesn't really do things justice, when I was probably no more than 4 or 5 years old, I remember my mother and father digging this up, there we go, including these walkway stones to service some sort of a fault in the wire that had taken place. The electrical power going to the garage has always been a little bit hit or miss. And while this service panel, this box that's here right now, it's not really a service panel because it's just a single pole, single circuit setup, this has always been a little bit troublesome, at least the box that was here previously. Now this one seems to be working very well, but we definitely want for more availability of electricity. I'll phrase it properly sooner or later out here in the garage, because there's things that the Keykeeper would like to do here, such as installing a 220 volt air compressor and things along those lines. But I guess I ought to quit yakking here and see if he's got any observations that he'd like to share with any of you folks out in the viewing audience.
I'm just really happy with the way it turned out. I'm impressed, and I might put up some more.
Well, I think they look really good, and they're certainly not going to overdo the electrical service that we do have available out here. We've got roughly 20 amps to play with, and most of it's 12 gauge wire.
Because I could put 2 more, one there, one there.
Yep.
And they could still both reach the outlet, so I could just put up an extension outlet. An outlet strip somewhere.
We'll have to install some more outlets or something along those lines.
This junction box right here to tap.
Because
that wouldn't be hard.
At the moment we're actually robbing power from two of the garage door openers, but that's okay because the two we're robbing power from, they don't actually work at present.
Well, they do work, but I don't use them.
The garage door openers work, but the garage doors are an unmitigated disaster on this side of the
Power from the
garage.
back ones. I unplugged the back openers. The one you're standing above doesn't work, and the one over here, a spring is broken, so it's really hard to open the door.
Yeah, these garage doors, as we've said previously, they need to be replaced. It's just not a good situation. But I think everything that we've done today, and the Keykeeper has done almost all of it. I've just been the schlub with the camera so far.
More than a schlub.
has really turned out well. I think everything here could not have turned out much better than it has. So at this point, I think it's time to thank everybody for watching, and
Turn off the dinosaur light.
yeah, we'll turn off the dinosaur light and see if it makes any difference. Really doesn't make a lot of difference.
No, it doesn't.
The LEDs are obviously carrying the load. So, as always, everyone, thank you for watching. We'll see if we can time this right. And feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Wow. This is kind of an interesting thing that we noticed. And the Keykeeper says that even when he came out here and these had been off for several hours, they were still glowing like this. So I don't know if somehow the switch isn't cutting off all the flow of power to these things and they're picking up a little bit of just trace amounts of electrical current and glowing that way. Or if they're driven so hard that the phosphors inside them just keep glowing for a while. But check that out, they haven't dimmed a bit. I guess we could prove it real quick. We could unplug one of them and see if it stops.
Just cut the breaker.
I could do that. I guess there's nothing out here with a memory. Let's see if I can fall all over myself. Jack stands and everything else.
Still glowing.
They're still glowing, so I think it's just an after effect of having been turned on.
Wow.
Of course, I don't know how unkind they're being to those little guys, but they could be driving them pretty doggone
I
hard.
think it's interesting how, like, some are brighter than others
Yep.
in the row or the array.
Well, I don't know how often they connect a resistor to these.
Cool.
I think it would be easiest and cheapest if they just connected a big old fat power resistor right at the beginning, but they might not have decided to do that for some reason or another. So there's your bonus feature, everyone. Now you can well and truly say that you've finished watching this video. Thank you for watching, and by all means, certainly do feel free to leave a comment if you have one.
Thank you.